Hello, I'm Tony Cordato. I'm a real estate lawyer, which means I look after property transactions such as buying and selling, mortgages, leases, strata, and one of my favourites, vendor finance for real estate. Today I'd like to talk about delayed completion settlements or long settlements. This is one of a series of talks on vendor finance, which are called the Keys to Vendor Finance for Real Estate in Australia. Delayed completion means a contract which is stretched, has a completion date which is more than the normal completion period for a contract. The normal completion period, depending on the state you are in Australia, can be anywhere between 30 days and 60 days. So I'm looking at more than 90 days. In what situations would a delayed completion be of benefit to a vendor? Well, the most obvious one is off the plan. You can sell an off the plan apartment or off the plan block of land today, have a deposit of 10% from the purchaser, and then delay maybe 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, while you build the apartment block, while you subdivide the land, until the purchaser pays the balance price. The advantage for the vendor is they have certainty as to how much money the land will or the apartment will sell for. And of course that's valuable for their bank, because the bank will lend against contracts for sale off the plan. But there are other situations. There might be vendors who are building a house somewhere else and would like to sell today at a price, fixed price, but not settle for 6 or 12 months until their dream home is built. Or there might be businesses who are selling a commercial property where they'll need 6 to 12 months to wind down the business. There are other situations, such as a property which has been damaged by fire or flood and needs to be fixed up, because no bank will lend on a damaged house. Or if they do, they won't lend very much on it. The vendor could agree to fix it up, or the purchaser could agree to fix it up. There may be other situations where the purchaser needs time to build up their deposit. Of course, that suits a whole lot of off-the-plan purchasers who may actually need 20%, which means that they've got 10% now and they need 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years to save up that extra 20, because they know that all the bank will lend them is 80% of the price. Delayed completion therefore works in a whole lot of situations. There's another 2 examples. They're commercial property examples. Everyone knows that to rent a commercial property may take 3, maybe 6 months. So many purchasers of commercial properties will insist upon a 6-month settlement period to give them the opportunity to find a tenant who'll start paying rent from the day they settle. Another commercial property example is the purchaser wants to move in for it to be owner-occupied. Well, they'll need council approval for their use and also for their fit-out. That could easily take 6, maybe 12 months, so they'll negotiate a 6 or 12 month delayed settlement. There's another form of delayed settlement, which is instalment contracts, but that is a separate form of vendor finance. Can I give you an example? So, hi Sue, I understand that you've just completed a property transaction where you've used the vendor finance technique of delayed completion. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So Tony, it was the development side that we wanted to purchase. Now, most of these development sites usually required for you to go into the DA processes. It's not a simple CDC process. That's why we wanted some time to before we could settle if we could get the approval on what we want to do on that property. And that's why what we were thinking and what we spoke to vendor that look, we need time. We happy if you give us time, we're happy to work out some numbers around what your asking price is, and then that would help us to get that approval in place prior to the settlement.
So they're prepared to trade time to get their higher price.
Absolutely.
And it was a development site. They knew it was a development site, so that was fine. So how long did you ask for?
We actually asked for 15 months delayed settlement, but then they came back and saying us that 12 months. But 12 months was still great option for us.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And now the property, was it rented out?
The property was rented, yes. It was collecting 2 rents.
And the vendor kept receiving the rents?
The vendor kept receiving the rents during that time.
So your only expense was the cost of the approvals?
Cost of the approvals, that's correct, yes.
And so it worked for you and it worked for the vendor?
Vendor, yes. It was a win-win situation.
Now, you told me it was a contract for sale that you got into instead of an option. Was there a reason for that?
I think for us, we wanted to secure the property as well, as much as the vendor wanted to sell it. And that's why I thought, that's why there was, but in saying that, if we went through the option, the vendor wanted 10%. But if we were going through the contract, we were able to only offer 5% deposit, which gave us that time to hold more money on our hand.
Okay, so the trade-off there was 5% deposit.
Correct, yes.
Was it held by the agent or was it released?
No, it was held by the agent.
Held by the agent.
Yeah, so it was not a scenario where they would get the money and then they can do whatever they want with it, but it was held by the agent. Yes.
Yeah. So it worked well.
It did work well.
And you use it again.
Use it again.
Okay. Thanks, Sue. That was great.
Thanks, Tony.
Now, the paperwork is like a normal contract for sale, except the completion period. So, for example, in Queensland, the standard completion period is 30 days. That has to be extended to maybe 2 years. In New South Wales, the normal completion period is 42 days. That is extended. In Victoria, the normal completion period can be 45 days, can be 60 days. That is extended. Same in South Australia and same in Western Australia. So nothing much changes from a normal contract. The only time something will change is if you allow the purchaser to move in or to have access. To have access does not mean moving in. To have access means to have the right to go in there, maybe store some goods, maybe do some small improvements. If you give the right of access, well, it's often fair to have the purchaser start paying the council rates, the water rates, and the insurance from that date. If you actually give them possession, well, they've got to pay what's called a licence fee, which is a legal term for paying rent. Anything they pay is non-refundable if they don't complete. So the documentation, standard contract, but a delayed, extended settlement period. That's pretty easy, isn't it? For more, Go to my website, www.vendorfinancelawyer.com.au, and go to the section on delayed settlements, and there's more explanation of what it involves, the documentation, and an example